I grew up working in our family convenience store from the time I was 10 years old. My parents built that business from nothing after coming to America, and it was our family legacy. So imagine my shock when they sold it to give my younger brother Jackson $120,000 for his tech startup idea. The kicker, he had zero business experience. Before I tell you how my own parents tried to steal my company after my brother's failure, let me know where you are watching from in the comments, and hit that subscribe button if you have ever had family take you for granted. Growing up in our middle-class Chicago neighborhood, I learned the value of hard work from an early age. My parents, Thomas and Maria, immigrated from Mexico with almost nothing but determination. Through years of sacrifice and 16-hour days, they built our family convenience store into a neighborhood staple. Everyone knew Garcia Market as the place where you could find everything, from emergency groceries to friendly conversation. From age 10, my after-school routine was helping stock shelves run the register and assist customers. Weekends were dedicated to inventory and store maintenance. I never complained, because I saw how much the store meant to my parents. It was their American dream realized, and I was proud to be part of it. My brother Jackson was 4 years younger, and our parents had different expectations for him. While I was learning retail operations, Jackson was excused from store responsibilities to focus on schoolwork. My parents constantly reminded me that Jackson was the smart one who would go to a prestigious university and become a professional. Despite their different vision for me, I loved business. Working at the store taught me about inventory management, customer relations, and the countless details that make a small business succeed. By my teen years, I started dreaming about expanding our single store into a local chain. I would spend nights sketching layouts for additional locations and researching potential neighborhoods for expansion. When I shared these ideas with my parents, they would smile politely, but quickly redirect the conversation to more practical career paths they preferred for me. "Manuel, the store is good for us, but you should aim higher," my father would say. They saw the store as their achievement, but somehow not good enough for my future. After high school, I enrolled in community college to study business management, while continuing to work at the store. The flexibility allowed me to apply classroom concepts directly to our family business. I began noticing inefficiencies in our inventory tracking and developed a simple digital system that saved hours of manual work each week. This sparked my interest in retail management software. In my spare time, I taught myself programming and developed a more sophisticated version of my inventory system. What began as a solution for our store evolved into software that could benefit any small retailer. By 25, I had saved $5,000 and made the leap to start my own retail tech company. Those early days were grueling. My small apartment doubled as my office, and I lived on ramen noodles while pouring every spare cent back into the business. When I told my family about my company, they seemed concerned rather than supportive. "Having your own business is risky, son," my father cautioned. "You should consider getting a stable job with benefits instead." The irony of this advice from a small business owner was not lost on me. Despite their doubts, I persisted. After 6 months of cold calls and free demonstrations, I landed my first client, a regional retail chain with 7 locations. The owner took a chance on my software after seeing how it streamlined their inventory process during a trial run. That first contract barely covered my expenses, but it validated my concept. The modest success allowed me to move operations from my apartment to a small office space in a less desirable part of town. I hired 2 employees who believed in my vision: Diana, a talented programmer who enhanced the software functionality, and Aaron, who had retail experience and handled sales. We were a small but dedicated team, working long hours to build something meaningful. By the 3rd year, my company reached the $300,000 annual revenue milestone. We were serving 22 local businesses with our point of sale and inventory management software. Each new client brought valuable feedback that helped us refine our product. I was particularly proud that we had achieved this growth without outside investment. As my business stabilized, I began thinking about how our technology could help modernize the family store. I imagined implementing our system there as a showcase for potential clients. Plus, it would make my parents' lives easier by automating many tedious tasks. I was excited to finally contribute something valuable to the family legacy. Everything changed when Jackson returned home after completing his MBA from a prestigious university. My parents organized a lavish dinner to celebrate his graduation, inviting extended family and friends. Throughout the evening, they proudly introduced him as our son, the MBA graduate, while I was simply Manuel, our oldest. During dinner, Jackson announced that he had been developing an idea for a tech startup. He described a social media platform specifically for luxury brand enthusiasts, where users could showcase their purchases and connect with others who shared their taste in high-end goods. His presentation was polished, but light on specifics regarding market research or revenue generation. Nevertheless, my parents were immediately captivated. "Jackson has always had such brilliant ideas," my mother gushed. My father nodded enthusiastically, asking questions about potential investors and growth projections. When I respectfully pointed out that the luxury social media market was already saturated with established platforms, my concerns were quickly dismissed. "Manuel, you do not understand this level of business," my father said. "Jackson has studied at the best business school. He knows what he is talking about." The conversation moved on, as if I had not spoken. 2 weeks later, my parents called me for what they described as an important family meeting. I arrived at their house expecting a discussion about health issues or perhaps retirement plans. Instead, they delivered news that felt like a physical blow. They were selling the family store. "We have been approached by Minimart Corporation," my father explained. "They are offering a good price, and at our age, it is time to think about retirement." Before I could process this information, my mother added the real bombshell. "We want to support Jackson's new business venture. He needs startup capital, and we can provide $120,000 from the sale." I was stunned into silence. The store had been our family anchor for 25 years. My parents had repeatedly said they wanted it to be their legacy. And now they were selling it not because they needed retirement funds, but to give my brother seed money for an untested business concept. "Have you considered the risks?" I finally managed to ask. "Most startups fail, especially in the oversaturated tech space. Why not test the concept with a smaller investment first?" My suggestions were met with dismissive waves. "Jackson has a solid business plan," my father insisted. "His professors have reviewed it and said it has potential." "What about my company?" I countered. "I have been running a successful business for years without asking for your investment. I could have used help early on, but I built it myself." My mother reached across the table to pat my hand. "Yes, your little software thing is nice, Manuel, but Jackson is thinking bigger. This could really put our family on the map." Her words stung. My little software thing had actual paying clients and was growing steadily, while Jackson had nothing but a PowerPoint presentation. But my objections fell on deaf ears. Their minds were made up. Within 3 weeks, the sale was finalized. The store that had been our family cornerstone was now part of a corporate chain. The familiar interior was quickly redesigned according to corporate specifications, erasing 25 years of our history. I drove past it one evening and barely recognized the place where I had spent thousands of hours growing up. Jackson wasted no time launching his startup with a flashy party at an upscale hotel. I reluctantly attended, watching as he handed out embossed business cards pronouncing him founder and CEO of a company that had yet to produce anything. During the event, I overheard my parents talking to their friends. "Jackson is our first entrepreneur in the family," my father said proudly. "He is really breaking new ground." I stood nearby, invisible, despite having run my own business for years. In their eyes, my practical revenue-generating company did not count as entrepreneurship. Only Jackson's theoretical venture deserved that title. Over the following months, I watched with growing concern as Jackson implemented his business plan. He rented expensive office space in a trendy downtown district and filled it with unnecessary high-end furniture. He hired 3 friends from business school at inflated salaries, despite their lack of relevant experience. Substantial funds went toward logo design, website development, and promotional materials before the platform was even functional. When I suggested that he consider a more conservative approach to preserve capital, Jackson laughed. That is how small businesses think, Manuel. In the startup world, you have to project success to achieve success. My parents backed his every decision. When I pointed out that user acquisition costs were likely to be high in his target market, my father accused me of jealousy. You should be supporting your brother, not criticizing him, he said sharply. This is what happens when you do not get proper business education. As predicted, development of the platform fell behind schedule. The initial launch date was postponed twice due to technical issues. The friends Jackson had hired lacked the specialized skills needed to resolve complex coding problems, but he refused to fire them and hire qualified developers. The market research that should have been done before funding was conducted only after significant money had been spent. It revealed what I had suggested. From the beginning, the target audience already had established platforms they preferred, and the unique selling points of Jackson's concept were not compelling enough to motivate users to switch. 6 months after receiving the $120,000, Jackson's company was in crisis. The platform had launched but attracted few users despite expensive marketing campaigns. Monthly costs far exceeded the minimal revenue from premium subscriptions. The development team struggled to add features that might differentiate the product from competitors. Throughout this period, Jackson maintained an optimistic facade when speaking to our parents. He shared inflated user growth projections and spoke confidently about imminent partnerships that never materialized. They believed every word, continuing to speak proudly of their son, the tech entrepreneur. The truth could not be hidden forever. When the company bank account dwindled to dangerous levels, Jackson finally called an emergency family meeting. This time there was no pretense of success. He revealed that the money was essentially gone with little to show for the investment. The market conditions changed, he explained, avoiding eye contact, and our main developer encountered unexpected technical challenges. My parents sat in shocked silence as Jackson detailed the financial reality. Not only was the initial investment depleted, but he had accumulated additional debt trying to keep the company afloat. There would be no return on their investment. The family store had been sold for nothing. "We trusted you, my father," finally said his voice, barely above a whisper. "We gave you everything." My mother wiped tears silently, looking suddenly older than her years. In that moment I felt no satisfaction in being right, only sadness at seeing my parents' dreams shattered. 3 weeks after Jackson's confession, my parents asked me to meet them at a coffee shop to talk about family support. Initially, I thought they wanted emotional support dealing with Jackson's failure, which I was willing to provide despite our differences. I was wrong. As we settled at a corner table, my father got straight to the point. "Manuel, we have a difficult situation. The store money is gone, and we have had to sell our house to cover some of Jackson's business debts." I was shocked. "Sold the house? Where are you living?" "We found a small apartment," my mother said. "It is temporary until we get back on our feet." My father cleared his throat. "This is why we wanted to talk to you. We have been thinking about your company. It is stable now." "Yes, making good money." Something in his tone made me uneasy. "Yes, we are doing well. I could help you with some living expenses if you need it." My father shook his head. "We are not looking for handouts. We want to be part of something. We think we should have 51% ownership of your company." The words hit me like a bucket of cold water. 51%. That would make you majority owners of a business you did not build. "We are family," my mother interjected. "We should own things together." Besides, my father added, "We have experience running a business for decades. We could help you expand." I struggled to stay calm. My company is completely different from a convenience store. The business models, customer base, everything is different. "Business is business," my father insisted, "and family should support family." Their request was absurd, yet they presented it as if they were doing me a favor. There was no acknowledgement that they had prioritized Jackson's unproven idea over my established business, or that they had never shown interest in my company until now. "I need time to think about this," I said finally, knowing already that my answer would be no. They exchanged glances. "Do not take too long," my father said. "We need to make arrangements soon." 2 days later, without warning, my parents showed up at my office with Jackson in tow. I was in the middle of a strategy meeting with my team when the receptionist nervously announced their arrival. Seeing no alternative, I asked my employees to take a short break and invited my family into the conference room. My father wasted no time on pleasantries. "Have you made a decision about our proposal? I was going to call you tonight," I said, uncomfortable having this conversation at my workplace. "But since you are here, my answer is no. I cannot give you controlling interest in my company." His face hardened. "After everything we have done for you, this is how you repay us. What exactly have you done for my business?" I asked quietly. "I built this from nothing, with no help from anyone. We raised you," my mother cried. "We gave you values, work ethic. And I am grateful for that," I acknowledged. "But that does not entitle you to own my company." My father stood up, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. "Then you are choosing business over family. If that is your decision, do not consider yourself our son anymore." My mother began crying, creating a scene that was visible through the glass walls of the conference room. My employees pretended not to watch, but I knew they could see everything. "You never supported Manuel's business." Jackson suddenly interjected, speaking for the first time. "Now that mine failed and his succeeded, you want a piece of it. That is messed up even for you too." I was surprised by his defense, but my father dismissed it. "You stay out of this. Your failure is why we are in this position. His failure that you funded," I pointed out. "You sold our family legacy to back his idea without even basic due diligence. I warned you, and you ignored me." My father pointed his finger at me. "Your success was just luck. Jackson's failure was circumstance. Any fool can get lucky once." Diana, my programmer, had apparently heard enough. She knocked and entered without waiting for permission. "Excuse me, but Manuel built this business through incredible hard work and vision. I have watched him work 20-hour days for years. There was no luck involved." Aaron joined her. "This company exists because Manuel saw a need in the market and filled it better than anyone else. He treats his employees like family and his clients with respect. That is why we succeed." My parents seemed taken aback by this unexpected defense. My father recovered quickly. "This is family business. You should not involve yourselves." "We are involved," Diana replied calmly. "We helped build this company too." After my family left, I discovered through a client that my parents had contacted them, suggesting they would soon be taking over management of the company and wanted to ensure a smooth transition. They had presented themselves as owners returning to take control from their son, who had been temporarily running things. That night, alone in my apartment, the full weight of the situation crashed down on me. I had lost my family store, and now I was losing my family itself. For hours I alternated between rage, grief, and disbelief. How could the people who raised me try to appropriate what I had built? How could they dismiss years of hard work as luck, while treating Jackson's failure as mere circumstance? By morning, I knew I had to take action to protect what I had built, not just for myself, but for my employees who depended on the company for their livelihoods. My first step was consulting with a business attorney specializing in family disputes. He advised documenting all interactions with my parents and securing my company legally against hostile actions. I updated all client contracts with clear ownership information and established formal agreements with every business partner. I called an all-hands meeting to explain the situation to my team of 12 employees. Transparency felt crucial. They had witnessed the confrontation and deserved to know what was happening. "I want to apologize for the family drama that spilled into our workplace," I began. "My parents are experiencing financial difficulties after an investment gone wrong, and they attempted to claim ownership of our company." The team listened attentively as I outlined the situation. "I am implementing some new communication protocols to protect our client relationships. All client communication should be logged, and if anyone contacts you claiming to represent ownership other than me, please report it immediately." My team responded with surprising support. "We have got your back," Manuel Diana assured me. "This company is your vision, and we are all here because we believe in it." Their loyalty moved me deeply. In a way, this team had become the supportive family my biological one failed to be. Taking legal measures against my own parents was emotionally draining. Each email to my attorney felt like a betrayal of the people who raised me, even though they were the ones attempting to appropriate my business. I struggled with guilt, despite knowing I was protecting what was rightfully mine. On my lawyer's advice, I sent my parents a certified letter, clearly explaining the legal boundaries they had crossed and the potential consequences of continuing to misrepresent themselves to my clients. I requested a meeting at a neutral location with my attorney present to resolve the situation. 3 days later, we met at my lawyer's office. My father arrived angry, my mother tearful. Jackson chose not to attend. The meeting was tense, but necessary. "What you have done constitutes fraud and tortious interference with business relationships," my attorney explained calmly. "Manuel has documentation of your communications with his clients, where you misrepresented your role in the company." "We are his parents," my father argued. "We have rights." "Not to a business you did not fund or work in," the attorney replied. "The law is very clear on this matter." I tried to keep emotion out of my voice. "I am willing to forget the client contact if you agree to stop immediately. If you continue, I will have no choice but to pursue legal action." My mother sobbed about family loyalty while my father accused me of heartlessness. But faced with potential legal consequences, they eventually agreed to cease their attempts to claim ownership of my company. As they left, my father turned back. "You would really sue your own parents? After everything we have done for you, I hope it never comes to that," I answered honestly. "But this company supports 12 families. Now, not just mine. I have a responsibility to them too." Despite the family crisis, my business continued to thrive. The month following the confrontation, we signed our largest client yet, a retail chain with 53 locations across 3 states. Their implementation went smoothly, and their positive testimonial opened doors to other large retailers. Within 6 months, we expanded operations into neighboring states, necessitating a larger office and additional staff. By year's end, the company reached the $1 million annual revenue milestone, achievement I had once thought impossible. I invested in a specialized development team to create next-generation software incorporating artificial intelligence for inventory prediction. The innovation positioned us ahead of larger competitors and attracted attention from industry publications. Through professional success, I found personal validation that my family had never provided. My confidence grew not from their approval, but from creating something valuable and sustainable. About a year after the confrontation, I learned through a cousin that my parents were struggling financially. They had moved to a small apartment in a less desirable neighborhood. Jackson was living with them, still unemployed, and apparently depressed. My father had taken a minimum wage job at a warehouse at age 63, his health declining from the physical labor. My mother's blood pressure had become dangerously high from stress. Learning about their situation produced complicated feelings. Part of me felt they were experiencing the natural consequences of their poor decisions. Another part remembered they were still my parents, the people who had worked hard to give me opportunities in America. The path to personal healing began with acknowledging the depth of my pain. For months I had suppressed my feelings to focus on protecting my business. Now I needed to address the emotional damage. I started seeing a therapist who specialized in family estrangement. In our sessions, I unpacked the complex dynamics that had always elevated Jackson while minimizing my contributions. I confronted feelings of inadequacy that had driven me to prove myself through business success. "Your worth was never dependent on their validation," my therapist reminded me. "The company you built has value regardless of their recognition." Gradually, I began separating my self-worth from my parents' approval. Their inability to appreciate my achievements reflected their limitations, not mine. I found unexpected support among my colleagues. Diana and Aaron, who had witnessed the family confrontation, became close friends outside of work. We would meet for dinners, where conversation ranged far beyond business. Their friendship offered acceptance I had rarely experienced in my family relationships. Other team members became part of my extended support network. We celebrated birthdays, helped each other move, and shared holiday gatherings. Slowly, I built a chosen family among those who valued me for who I was, not what I could provide. About 18 months after our confrontation, my younger cousin Miguel reached out. "Your parents are really struggling," he told me. "Your dad's back is getting worse from the warehouse work, and your mom cries a lot. They would never admit it, but they could use help." After careful consideration, I decided to offer limited financial assistance with clear conditions. I would pay their health insurance premiums directly and provide a modest monthly stipend, but there would be no lump sums and certainly no ownership of my business. I arranged to meet them at their apartment. The small, sparsely furnished space was nothing like the comfortable home they had owned for decades. My father had aged visibly, his proud posture now stooped. My mother seemed smaller somehow, her usual energy diminished. Our conversation began awkwardly with surface-level updates about health and weather. Finally, I addressed the purpose of my visit. "I understand things have been difficult. I would like to help with some expenses, specifically your health insurance, and a monthly stipend for necessities." My father's pride flared briefly. "We do not need charity." "It is not charity," I replied calmly. "It is family supporting family, but with clear boundaries." My mother reached for my hand. "We made terrible mistakes, Manuel. We should have supported your business from the beginning. We treated you unfairly," my father admitted, the words clearly difficult for him. "We always expected you to support Jackson's dreams, but never supported yours." Their acknowledgement, however belated, was something I had waited years to hear. It did not erase the past, but it opened a possibility for a more honest relationship moving forward. We established new boundaries, financial and emotional. I would help them with basic needs. But my company remained entirely separate from family matters. Our relationship would be rebuilt slowly, based on mutual respect rather than obligation or entitlement. Through this difficult journey, I learned lessons I never expected. Success comes from consistent effort and vision, not from sudden windfalls or shortcuts. The family store took my parents 25 years to build, while Jackson expected overnight success with his startup. My own business grew steadily through years of calculated risks and persistent innovation. I discovered the crucial importance of surrounding yourself with honest supporters who celebrate your victories and speak truth during challenges. My team stood by me when my biological family faltered, demonstrating that loyalty is earned through respect and integrity, not merely blood ties. Perhaps most importantly, I learned that family does not automatically deserve trust or access to what you have built. Love and respect must flow in both directions. Supporting family is important, but not at the expense of your own well-being or the destruction of your life's work. Today, my company continues to grow now, supporting over 30 employees and their families. I maintain a relationship with my parents, though one very different from what they envisioned. Jackson and I have tentatively begun rebuilding our brotherhood, acknowledging the damage our parents' favoritism caused to both of us in different ways. The family store is gone, but the business lessons it taught me remain. Sometimes the legacy we create ourselves matters more than the one we inherit. Have you ever had to choose between family expectations and your own path? Let me know in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to hear more real-life experiences. Share this video with someone who might need to hear that standing your ground can sometimes be the most loving choice you can make, both for yourself and ultimately for your family too. Thank you for listening, and remember that the family we choose can be as important as the family we are born into.